Alrighty, we're back. Your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 516. We're recording live on Tuesday, May the 11th. Aubriana, how's things in Atlanta?
Things are good. It's the pollen's starting to like die down a little bit and been getting packed up. It's like very surreal that we're moving. So yeah, it's crazy to think that in a few weeks I will not be in this house anymore. And not in Atlanta anymore. And I've been here for 11 years now or
Yeah.
so. So big changes up ahead, but excited for a new adventure. And yeah, I mean, baseball's happening.
Yeah,
What
we're
else?
my Jays are playing your Braves tonight.
All right. I'm
So
gonna
there
have to
you
make
go.
sure I tune in.
Yeah. Yeah, and is it getting hot yet, or is it still kind of spring?
It's kind of spring still. We've had a few warm days here and there, but it's definitely, today's like not getting over, I think like 74, 75. But we've had a few like days in the 80s where it's gotten warm, and so we're getting there. I mean, you know what's coming here in Atlanta, right? Like the heat and humidity are guaranteed.
Yeah, yeah. We get the same too. It's just we don't usually get it till like late July, right? That
Yeah.
humidity when it piles in here in Toronto. But I think this week like we're high 60s, might hit low 70s, so it's not bad.
Well, that's
Yeah,
nice.
I'll take that
Uh,
for me.
right?
Anyhow, all right. Well, we've got a good show for you this week. Four stories that we wanted to cover off. A very interesting array of brands doing cool things, I think, that we're going to cover off this week. And I'll let Aubriana kick it off as per usual.
All right. Well, we're going to kick it off with a story from social. TikTok is kind of making a foray into a new area for them, and they've announced some new promotions around helping small businesses. So they've got some ad tools, some education sessions, and they're marking this as part of their National Small Business Month. It's actually apparently it's National Small Business Week here in the States, but they're going to be promoting all of these features and new functionality for small businesses for the month. And it's really just supposed to help SMBs to take advantage of their platform, use video content, promote their business and have more opportunities to reach consumers through these short video clips, and just teaching them to use the platform a little bit better. And I think this is really good because TikTok has really been a very consumer driven type of a play, and you don't think about it when you're thinking necessarily about like promoting your business. It's obviously like in terms of adoption, people are kind of slowly rolling to this, and TikTok typically is a much younger demographic, although you can see all kinds of ages on there if you just are scrolling through the videos and what's trending. So I think this is interesting. And so throughout this whole month of May, they're going to have the availability to discover and show love for small businesses. And you can do that using the hashtag support small business. So business owners can go on and have like different experiences. They could give like a sneak peek into the world. So they could show like how they make certain things, or, the packaging process, or just kind of give like a behind the scenes look at different things. And there's kind of three components to this. So the first one is like the hashtag support small business efforts and this, month of May. And then the second part is this partnership that they launched with Nielsen. Now, Nielsen is going to enable them to use the Nielsen DMAs, or designated market areas. So you think of like wider than a city, that kind of just reaches that probably 25-mile radius or so. And they're going to have geo-targeted campaigns. So that'll have like a more direct focus on the areas that these small businesses can reach and kind of segment, and then tie it to the Nielsen data as well. So it'll just enhance the accuracy of the TikTok listings. And I was interested in this, and so I did a little digging to say, like, well, why is this something that they needed to work with Nielsen on, right? Obviously, Nielsen has the other data in terms of their DMAs, but there's a lot of ways that you could just do the DMA targeting. But apparently, Nielsen has actually trademarked DMA. So you can't use the term DMA without having a direct license from Nielsen, which is pretty interesting. But they will be appending relevant data, around the business listings and things of that nature. And then the third piece of this story is that they have TikTok has also launched a business club on Clubhouse. So they're going to have like a series of interviews with small businesses that have seen success on the platform. So small businesses can tune in and learn and maybe think about how to apply that to their business. And yeah, I think this is good. I think it's great to empower small businesses, not only from a business standpoint and driving, new opportunities for revenue with TikTok, but also I think that it's good in terms of, it's positioning them in a favorable place. They had a lot of flack not so long ago here in the States with, how things needed to be moved around or who was going to have to acquire them for them to stay, available here in the States, and what did that look like? And I think this is a really favorable place for them to be. This is some good press, saying like they're helping small businesses. Obviously, the last, more than a year has been pretty difficult for a lot of small businesses. So, putting them in a favorable light of doing something good is also really good. And obviously Clubhouse, just kind of plugging this in since we're talking about that topic, we'll be having a conversation soon there, right? So we'll be talking from a Location Weekly / Location Based Marketing Association perspective coming up pretty soon. So tune in for that because we'll be talking about this and some more items. But back to TikTok, what do you think, Asif?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting play for them. I think it's a really good one. I think they have a growing member base, user base, and a widening demographic. Right, it's something that started really young. I think it's kind of sort of broadening out now into other age groups, and I think from that point of view, I think many small businesses are finding themselves with a new opportunity, right, to leverage a platform like this to kind of engage with that audience. And I think the sort of video aspects of showcasing a little bit about who you are or what your products are or things like that makes sense. I personally I like that they're doing the Nielsen mashup here. I think one of the things that we get asked a lot at the LBMA is there's so many great location-based ad targeting technologies and tools out there, but many of them are not really affordable, I think, for your typical small business. They work great if you're Burger King or you're a large brand, and you can afford that. But often small businesses ask us, how do we get started with location based marketing, and what can we do as a little independent soap maker or coffee shop or whatever it is that they do. And I think this is an interesting way to kind of go about that. And I think TikTok's found opportunity there, and I think in a lot of ways Pinterest has as well. But I like the mashup with Nielsen. I like that they're sort of appending that sort of geo-marketing, neighborhood type data to what they're doing to sort of really focus in the targeting that they're going after. So I think that's interesting. And yes, to echo what you just said about Clubhouse, for those who don't know yet, at the LBMA here, we launched last month a new series that we're calling Retail Local Conversations. And these are happening on Clubhouse. It's the third Thursday of every month. So next Thursday, May the 20th, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be hosting a conversation. So Brianna will be there, I will be there, and a few other speakers as well. So join us next Thursday on the 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern on Clubhouse. You can just search for Retail Loco or the LBMA on Clubhouse, and you should find the group there that you can join. But yeah, I'm also finding Clubhouse to be it's a bit of an experiment. I would say like it's not the first thing I thought of, but I think that there's especially right now when we're all working from home, living on Zoom meetings all day long, your eyes getting just totally tired and overworked. Having something that's just audio that you can just listen in on, I think is interesting and it's different. And I like that they're also trying to experiment with that too. So Yeah, it's that age that we're in, right? Like where there's so much experimentation on platforms and mashups of technologies right now, and I think that this is a good example of that with what TikTok's doing here.
Yep.
All right, on to our second story. Target and Safeway are both teaming up with Google Pay, and they're delivering location-based promotions. Now, what I find really fascinating about this, we've talked a lot over the last number of months about the privacy changes and the IDFA deprecation and all that stuff that's going on in the world of location-based ad targeting. And if you wind the clock back, I remember speaking at an LBMA conference, maybe a retail local conference a few years ago, and I was saying, like, I think one of the opportunities that's coming down the pipeline is for the native OS, platforms, Google and Apple, to really leverage the mobile wallets and to activate location based sort of ads and promotions directly through those mobile wallets, because they at the OS level understand where the device is from a geo point of view and can make a lot of things happen. And here we are, Target and Safeway are now, sort of engaging with Google Pay specifically, to deliver weekly grocery discounts. So these are promotions where the user is allowing location-based services on their mobile device to, as they come nearby a store, to get those offers or those coupons on whatever grocery items are relevant to them as they are nearby to those stores, to be pushed directly into their Google Pay mobile app. And there's no rocket science to this at all. It's just complete logic, makes complete sense. If you use Google Pay or use Apple Pay or use any of these kinds of mobile wallets, you should have offers loaded up in there, and those offers should be activated based on your geolocation. And to me, this is a very, very good case for sort of turning on your location and sort of giving real sort of value exchange that we talk about a lot, to a reason to have that on, right? Which is, hey, I'm nearby the Safeway store right now. I want to know what grocery deals are there and what coupons are available, and load them up in my Google Pay, and let me get those discounts. Like, it makes complete sense. I don't see anything that like I would sit here and go, this is an abuse of my privacy, or this is a something I'm not interested in, or what have you. Like, I think this is a no-brainer for both Target and Safeway, and any other brand for that matter that wants to use these things. And at the same time, I think it's as the OS companies lock down the privacy, it really just opens it up for themselves, right? For more opportunity for Google, for Apple, for these providers to really leverage the power of what they know about that device, at an OS level. So, I have nothing bad to say about this. I think that we're going to see a lot of brands jump onto these types of opportunities as their opportunities to target on other platforms, start to disappear.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything that you said. I do think that this is a great opportunity to drive more opt-ins. It is that perfect value exchange that we discuss all the time. The one thing that I would say is that I think that this is not only an opportunity for the platforms such as Google and Apple, but I also do feel like this is an opportunity for apps to provide a value exchange that then allows for the client to opt in more often and share that. And they can have that unique experience that they then offer, right, for those clients. And they can have more and more consumers opting in to share that data with them, because it's not necessarily that they can't do that anymore, or that the platforms are inhibiting from them sharing that information. It's just, it needs to be, there's more consent that has to be had, and there has to be an actual value proposition and use case for the apps to ask for it. So I think this is, I think that this is a page from, the big players book that a lot of the smaller apps can take and apply within their platforms as well, beyond the pay application. So, but I do think that this is, it makes perfect sense. It's a good value exchange, and there's a lot of advertising, applications around that as well. So very good. All right. So going on to kind of more of like a heartfelt story here, and one that I would say is close to me is Petco. I don't know if you know this, but Petco actually has an animal welfare nonprofit that's operated by their Petco Health and Wellness Company. It's called Petco Love. And they've actually introduced a new facial recognition platform, this technology, and it's called Petco Love Lost. And they have deployed this to about 1,000 shelters and rescues. And it's really focused on reuniting lost pets with their owners. And so this is going to be accessible to all of the pet owners, who have lost a cat or dog, as well as all of these, shelters and communities where pets might end up, that get lost. So the way that it works is you just upload a photo of the pet, and then it's scanned and matched with any of the participating shelters or neighborhoods, or in the community. And the initial results are provided in less than 1 minute, which is really cool. So there's lots of orgs and communities and associations that have already adopted this technology. So it's definitely has a lot of reach so far, which is great. And they're going to continue to enhance their algorithm over time, fine tune that technology, and it will be continue to improve as more partners sign on, and obviously as more information is loaded into the system, more pets are in there, more of these are used. So I think this is great. As someone who had a sweet puppy, Chula, who was lost, it was heartbreaking, and we exercised every effort that we possibly could, posting signs in the neighborhood, using the Nextdoor app, posting on social media, going and calling all the shelters. And, it was exhausting, not only, just mentally, but emotionally too. And so I love anything that has to do with like, reuniting and making sure that we can try and get back with our kids. These little furry animals are really our family. So I think this is amazing. I love this use of facial recognition. It's like, it's not invasive for your privacy. It's definitely something that, every family with a pet could use, and, would love to know that they have this at their disposal. And also for a lot of the shelters as well, probably, who have a hard time keeping up with so many animals that are coming in all the time, and what to do with them and how to get the proper care for them. And now the ability to perhaps get them back with their families in a more seamless way, I think is amazing. So I love this story. It's like my favorite story this week. And yeah, I'm excited about this new technology they're rolling out. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool heartfelt story for sure, and I think that often when we talk about facial recognition technology, we think about the negative aspects, we think about the privacy issues, we think about sort of what's that company, Clearview AI, these kinds of companies that the police are using to track people down and all kinds of things. But I think when you look at a story like this, you look at it and go, wait a second, like this technology, there is good, that can come from this, right? And applying it to something that the average consumer who has a pet can really sort of appreciate the value in this. And as you say, there's so many people who've lost cats or dogs or whatever over the years, and I think that if Petco can sort of get some brand love, by associating themselves, with a solution that can help people find their lost pet, I think that there's only good in that, right? And I remember, you might remember, there was this campaign that we did in the UK, with one of the adoption agencies for dogs, and we were running these sort of campaigns with big digital billboards in UK shopping malls, outdoor malls, and basically, like, we were handing out like these flyers with embedded chips in them, and they would sync up with the screens, and everywhere you kind of went through the mall, this little puppy dog that was looking to be adopted would, like, sort of show up on the screen, like following you around the mall. And I think that there's just these types of things really tug at the heartstrings, right? And I think that Petco's got something here that can really do a lot for their brand and create that brand love. that every brand wants, and at the same time, it's practical. It helps pet owners be able to find their lost pets. So I like it. All right, our final story, completely switching gears now. KLM, the Royal Dutch Airlines, have an interesting out of home billboard campaign going right now. We've just kind of come out of winter and into spring and allergies, and it's flu season and all of that. And they have taken some digital signage in bus shelters and screens around, and have come up with a pretty interesting campaign. So obviously, as an airline, the whole travel industry has been suffering greatly. People, flights are restricted and travel is restricted, and there's a need to sort of rebuild. Sort of that desire and restart an industry almost. And so one of the things KLM's doing is they've come up with this out of home billboard campaign, and so they've taken these billboards and they've equipped them with listening devices and an AI motor. And so basically what they've done is let's say you're sitting in a bus shelter and there's a digital screen there. The listening device that's built into this has been designed to listen for 40,000 different cough and sneeze sounds. So if you're sitting there and you cough or you sneeze, whatever, the screen's going to recognize that as what it is, as a cough or a sneeze. And then all of a sudden the digital sign's going to come up with this thing that says, hey, you're not feeling well. And then an ad to, book a trip to, Portugal or wherever. And focus in on their sort of promotion, which is you can cancel for $0 cancellation fees and whatnot. So I think it's kind of fun. It's are you unwell is the campaign that they're going for. Well, don't worry, you can book a trip and you can get away and you can feel better and you don't have to worry about any cancellation fees. So I think it's a little bit fun. It's a neat way to sort of bring some interactivity into what's showing up on the screen, through this kind of listening technology. Yeah, you need a little bit of fun, and you need to, this industry needs a lot of help to get moving again. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting that I like that they're talking about and promoting like, hey, cancel for free, at any time. I think that's great. But it's also interesting that they're like saying to promoting travel, like when they hear a cough or sneeze, like, come on, let's fly, come get on our airplanes. That's a little questionable. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, bring that onto the plane. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's interesting, but I think people, companies, marketing departments were like reaching to try and figure out like, how can we make things applicable? How can we, especially in the travel industry, it's been hit really hard. How do we get people excited about traveling again? People are starting to, feel excited about going places again. And, people are getting vaccinated. So they're starting to open up to the idea of traveling and taking that vacation they haven't had in so long. And so I think that it's great to, start promoting that it's a good time. People are more open to that. I was thinking of something, it's not exactly apples to apples, but, years ago, I know that when I was working more on the IP intelligence side, we were doing geolocation targeting for symptoms like flu symptoms or whatever the level of things were. Was it allergies? Was it flu? And we would and there was work that we did with, I think it was WebMD potentially, but basically they were looking at the postal code where visitors were coming from and looking at the real-time data to say like, what is the level of flu symptoms? What's the level of pollen, and tying the advertising that they showed to those areas, right? So is it flu season? Like maybe they're going to advertise Tamiflu, or is it just pollen? Maybe it's going to be like Claritin or Zyrtec or something like that. But I think that it's interesting, the idea of using sound in order to do this, not just like location, right? But the actual sounds that they're hearing. I thought you were going to say they were listening for the word flu or listening for the word allergies or something, but the sounds is interesting. So, I think this is creative, and it's definitely had a lot of thought put into it. And obviously there had to be some level of, some effort that was put in with all these coughing and sneezing sounds, because people definitely sneeze very differently. So
Yeah, well, 40,000 different samples, right? That
that's
they're
a lot. Yeah.
that's
So I think this is cool. Yeah.
yeah. Well, speaking of sounds here, while you were talking, I was pulling up this this little clip here for Petco's new theme song for their campaign. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, you've been listening to Location Weekly, episode number 516. We thank you for your time, and we appreciate all of the support. If you have story ideas, reach out to us, and give us some likes and some love on the whatever podcast channel you're listening to this on. But thanks so much, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll be back next week with a new show, episode 517. Take care. Bye.
Bye.